Time being 9:30, I would like to call this meeting of Long Range Capital Planning and Utilization Committee to order. There is a quorum present, and the first item of business is the acceptance of the minutes of the May 23rd and July 13th meetings. Is there a motion to do that? Representative McConkey, seconded by Senator Birdsell, to accept the minutes of May 23rd and July 13th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. There is no old business. First item of new business, RSA 4:39-B, approval of state agency leases exceeding 5 years. LRCP 22-027, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, requests approval to enter into a 10-year lease agreement in the amount of $3,830,371.68, payable in equal monthly installments with McCarthy Properties of West Wareham, Massachusetts, for 25,200 square feet of total office space for the department's use, located at 172 Pembroke Road in Concord, New Hampshire, effective from October 1st, 2022 through December 30th, 2032, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated September 1st, 2022. Is there anybody from the department here?
That wasn't December, it was September 30th.
Yeah, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Chris Marino. I'm the Chief of Administration for the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Thank you. So before you today is a request for a lease for a building for 10 years at our current location. This lease we're seeking for 10 years based on a couple of factors, one being cost savings as proposed by the landlord at the best rate, which at this current rate, based on the proposal that was provided, $13.25 a square foot, which is far below market value within the Concord area. We've been at this building for approximately 30 years. In the last few years, we have on a couple of occasions sought an RFP for additional space. As you might recall, we were DRED, the Department of Resource and Economic Development, in 2017. That changed. We did seek an RFP for lease space at the time, that nothing materialized that even came close, so we sought an extension. Then we went out one more time. 2 years later, again, we delayed, sought an extension. I'm sorry, we had a 1-year request and then a 2-year seeking an extension. This time around, we have decided to pursue a lease to stay for a period of time. Under the guidance of Administrative Services, we did receive a waiver from the RFP process due to the circumstances and the information relative to costs in particular. That is, $13.25 a square foot is far below the costs for any similar space in the Concord area, and for that reason, we were able to pursue this.
Questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee with this item? Senator Birdsell moves to approve, seconded by Representative Cloutier. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Moving on. RSA 4:39C, disposal of highway or turnpike funded real estate. The first item is LRCP 22-020, Department of Transportation, authorization to amend LRCP 21-0334, approved November 9th, 2021, to dispose of two parcels of state-owned land located on the westerly side of New Hampshire Route 16, Spalding Turnpike, in the town of Newington by reducing the acreage size of the two parcels from 5.20 plus or minus acres to 4.02 plus or minus acres, and decrease the sale price from $1,111,200 to $952,200, which includes a $1,100 administrative fee for each parcel, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated July 25th, 2022. Mr. Labronte.
Thank you, Mr. At the New Hampshire Department of Transportation. This parcel, this disposal came before the committee in May, and what occurred is it was pointed out that there's a gas line within the right-of-way of the Spalding Turnpike. Through discussions with the purchaser, it was determined that it was best to reduce the price so that the gas line would stay within the public right-of-way and not be on the private subject, not be on the parcels subject to an easement. And that's why we're asking to amend this sale and the reduction of price. They went back and looked at it and determined that they adjusted the sale not only for the reduction in size, but also the timing of the sale.
Thank you. Any questions of the department from members of the committee? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee on item 22-020? Representative Mills moves approval. Senator Birdsell seconds. The motion is approval of item 22-020. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Next item, LRCP 22-021, Department of Transportation. Authorization to sell 0.85 plus or minus of an acre of state-owned land located at the intersection of Elm Street and New Hampshire Route 9 in the city of Keene, directly to Paul Dubreski, the abutter, for $11,000 plus an administrative fee of $1,100, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated July 21st, 2022. And if I mispronounce the abutter's name, my apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The original parcel was 2.12 acres and was acquired by the department in 1973 via warranty deed for $11,500 to build the Keene bypass. This parcel was, so what we're doing is we purchased it. Now this is the remnant of that larger 2.12 acre parcel. So we've kept over an acre of it to construct the Route 9. The parcel conveyed with the following conditions. The department shall retain a drainage easement to accommodate the existing 24-inch culvert located on the parcel, and the grantee will be responsible for hiring a land surveyor and producing a right-of-way adjustment plan to be recorded. I can take any questions.
Questions for the department from members of the committee? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee on item 22-021?
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Cloutier.
yes, I move we adopt LRCP 22-021.
Second that.
Representative Cloutier has moved that we approve item 22-021, seconded by Representative Mills. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Next item, LRCP 22-022, Department of Transportation. Request approval to dispose of .46 plus or minus acres of state-owned land with improvements located at 490 Tasker Hill Road in the town of Madison by entering into a listening agreement for the term of 1 year with Pinkham Real Estate for the sale price of $259,000, allowing negotiations within the committee's current policy guidelines and pursuant to RSA 440 Roman 3-A, assess an administrative fee of $1,100 subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated July 28th, 2022. Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This .46 acre parcel is improved with a single-family residence located at 490 Tasker Hill Road in the town of Madison. As you just mentioned, we would like to enter into an agreement with Pinkham Real Estate with a 5% sales commission. The sale of this parcel is, we're looking to, at a sales price of $259,000. The department will assess an administrative fee of $1,100. The subject parcel was originally acquired by the department in 2005 via warranty deed for $206,000. We sent out requests for market analysis to all of our realtors, our pre-approved realtors in Region 1. We received six responses. After reviewing all 6 responses, the pre-qualification committee determined that Pinkham Real Estate was the most familiar with the area and seemed to have the most stable asking price.
Just one question. Has the building been vacant since we purchased it?
No, it
Okay.
hasn't been vacant. It has been vacant for about, I guess, roughly around 2 years. What happened is it was a habitability problem, not because of the condition of the structure, but because of the well. The well dried up, and looking at what we were getting for it in rental value to what we'd have to do to get the well back, we'd have to drill a new well. It was determined that it wasn't.
So that explains the as-is.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? What is the pleasure of the committee on item 22-022?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Representative Mills moves approval of 22-022. Senator Birdsell seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve this item? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Moving on. LRCP 22-023, Department of Transportation. Requests approval to dispose of 2.75 plus or minus acres of state-owned land with improvements located at 592 Eaton Road, New Hampshire Route 153 in the town of Conway by entering into a listing agreement for a term of 1 year with Badger, Peabody, and Smith Realty for the sale price of $200,000, allowing negotiation within the committee's current policy guidelines and pursuant to RSA 4:40 Roman 3-A, assess an administrative fee of $1,100 subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated August 18th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject parcel was acquired in 2006 for the Conway bypass for the sale for the price of $200,000. I will say that I'm not sure if it has been vacant the entire time, but the structure has been vacant for quite a while. It's actually located next to one of our maintenance sheds. So the department will retain 0.75 acres of the original parcel for the patrol shed property. The grantee will be responsible for submitting a subdivision plan prepared at their expense by a licensed land surveyor in the state of New Hampshire. Market analysis request was sent out to all of our realtors in Region 1. 4 firms responded, and it was determined that Badger was the most feasible realtor to market the property. I can take any questions.
Questions from the committee on this item? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee on item 22-023?
Move approval.
Representative McConkey moves approval of the item,
Second.
seconded by Representative Mills. Is there any discussion on the item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of LRCP 22-023 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Next item, LRCP 22-024, Department of Transportation, requests approval to dispose of 0.15 plus or minus of an acre parcel of state-owned land with improvements located at 439 Valley Road in the town of Sullivan by entering into a listing agreement for a term of 1 year with H.G. Johnson Real Estate for the listing price of $185,000, allowing negotiations within the committee's current policy guidelines and pursuant to RSA 4:40 Roman 3-A, assess an administrative fee of $1,100, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated August 29th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject parcel was acquired in 2017 for $150,165 as part of a negotiated settlement. The project included raising the elevation and replacing the abutting Route 9 bridge over Otter Brook, as well as roadway improvements along Route 9. The department will be retaining a 1,522-foot bridge access easement and a 4,177 square foot slope and drain easement. The grantee will be responsible for submitting a subdivision plan prepared at their expense by a licensed land surveyor. All the pre-qualified realtors in Region 2 were requested to submit market analysis. Only 2 firms responded, and it was determined that H.G. Johnson was the best suited to market this property as their local realtor.
Questions from the committee to the department on this item? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee on item 22-024?
Move to approve.
Representative McConkey moves to approve, seconded by
I'll second that.
Representative Cloutier. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. Next item, LRCP 22-025, is being withdrawn by the department. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the department is requesting to withdraw this item at this time. It was sent over prematurely. What happened is, looking at the property and its development potential, it was determined that by increasing, basically we were reserving a truck turnaround area, but it wasn't really necessary because there's area further up the road that trucks can turn around on, and by increasing the area it would also help with the development potential of the parcel. The problem is this was sent over, and I should have caught it because I signed off on it. So this is on me.
That's-
It was sent over because we still are in the figuring it out mode as to what the increase in area does to the value of the property.
All right. What?
Should we table it?
No, they withdrew it, so we're not going to do anything with it. And I assume that at some future meeting, it'll be back.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's all from the Department of Transportation for this meeting. Next item, RSA 4:40, disposal of real estate. LRCP 22-026, Department of Administrative Services, acting on behalf of the Department of Environmental Services, requests approval to grant exclusive option to Gilson Road Solar LLC, a New Hampshire limited liability company to be formed by solar farm developer Andrew Keller, doing business as New Hampshire Solar Garden, to lease approximately 25.78 acres of land at the Sylvester Superfund site located near Gilson Road in Nashua, New Hampshire, consisting primarily of the cap of a capped landfill and the abutting surrounding state land for a total term of up to 45 years following an option term of up to 2 years for the purposes of constructing, installing, operating, and maintaining a 1.1 to 5 megawatt capacity commercial solar power generation facility. Proposed exclusive option fees to obtain the right to lease the subject property are $1,000 for the first 12 months and $1,000 for each for the two successive option period extensions of 6 months. And after the option is exercised and construction is complete, proposed annual rent of the initial 25-year lease term is the product of the nameplate generation capacity of the facility in megawatts of alternating current, and $10,000, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated August 30, 2022. And I'm not sure which department is going to try to explain this to us, but good luck.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jared Nyland, Real Property Asset Manager from Administrative Services. I have Michael Summerlin of DES in the Superfund Management section with me in the gallery.
If you want any of them to sit with you in case there are questions, that's totally acceptable.
You want to come up, Mike? So as I understand, I got involved when DES was looking for assistance with the actual lease. This parcel, actually, there's two tax parcels that together amount to over 25 acres of a Superfund site. This is on Gilson Road in Nashua. It's in southwest corner of Nashua in a residential area. The site is a former gravel pit and landfill. I don't know the whole history of the Superfund designation and cleanup, but as I understand it, DES got involved to handle the mitigation and supervise the mitigation in conjunction with EPA or as the local representative of EPA. The active part of the mitigation is now complete, and there have been discussions with solar developer New Hampshire Solar Garden to ground lease the site and develop it into a commercial solar generation facility. When I prepared this request, I had understood that the generation capacity would be 1 to 5 megawatts. I'm now told that the expectation is it will be 2 megawatts. So, that does affect the rent a bit. If you look at the rent formula, it's the rent over time. For the first 25 years, it's fixed. Well, it's a fixed formula, $10,000 times whatever the nameplate generation capacity is. So if it's 2 megawatts, it's going to be $20,000, annually for the first 25 years. But after the first 25 years, the extension periods under the lease, the amount of rent increases first by 25%, then by another 5%, then by another 5% over successive 5-year extension terms. There is a 2-year option period at the beginning of this agreement, so the lease wouldn't actually start until the developer exercised the option to lease the property. The reason for that is, as I tried to explain in the letter, the lessee is a special purpose entity that's designed for transfer to the operator investor in the site. So New Hampshire Solar Garden is the developer. They line up all the pieces and the money, and then they get the owner to come in. They find an owner to come in, take over the lessee entity, and then operate the site. Any questions?
Thank you. The first question that comes to my mind is, has anybody talked to the city of Nashua about this?
I'll let Michael answer that. Excuse me. I'll let Michael answer that.
If you could identify yourself.
Good morning. I'm Michael Summerlin with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. I'm the project manager for the Sylvester Superfund site on Gilson Road in Nashua. In the process of learning how to lease out state-owned property, we went through the CORD review. And as part of that, we received letter of support from Nashua. The folks I've talked to in Nashua are very supportive of solar, and
Okay.
yeah, so that,
Thank you, because we always are sensitive to what we're doing to towns and cities where we do something with property within their boundaries. Any other, Senator Birdsell?
Do you know if any of this electricity is actually going to come to New Hampshire, or is it going to go down to the grid and then get spread out?
I don't think that I can answer that with the exception of my familiarity with this particular developer. I understand they do primarily net metering, which I think means it stays local. But I'm not really sure how the solar aspect works. The advantage of developing a Superfund site for solar is that it reduces the potential for exposure for human risks when you compare it to other types of development. This particular Superfund site is a cap surrounded by a fence, about 20-acre cap, and there aren't a lot of ways of beneficially reusing this site. Solar is a win-win because now someone else will take care of the fence. Now someone else will take care of the mowing instead of the DES. That'll help out a lot.
Follow up?
Follow.
I get the cap issue, and I'm fine with that. My concern is New Hampshire has always been on the bottom of the totem pole for electricity, and I want to make sure this electricity is going to benefit our constituents and not go down into the grid and then get spread out amongst Maine, New Hampshire, and Connecticut, and Massachusetts.
I don't think they can.
Well, we can ask and get back to you if that helps. What's the process for getting back to you?
Talk to Senator Birdsell afterward to get her.
Okay.
I'll be willing to, yeah.
Any other questions? Does go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So how time sensitive is this lease? It would seem to be an appropriate question by the senators. Is something we can table to the next meeting? How sensitive is this agreement? Time sensitive.
Well, from the DES's perspective, it's not time sensitive. The developer has stated recently that time is of the essence for keeping the value of the project at the level it's at now to afford the 10,000 per megawatt AC lease agreement, potential lease agreement. So there's been changes lately with regard to incentives from the federal government, I believe. So that probably has softened that deadline that they had, but that would be another thing I could learn from the developer and get back to you on.
Our next meeting is already scheduled for 2 months from now. I think that we could get some of those questions answered and maybe ask the Department of Energy also to come along and talk about this, because this is a 45-year lease that deals with solar and our constituents in electrical prices, which are high.
Apologies, I missed the question.
There wasn't a question. I was just saying that if we were to table this item for 2 months, that I would also expect the Department of Energy to join you in this, because they should be the ones to answer Senator Birdsill's questions, since they're now a full agency.
And I will be talking to them.
Any other questions to the department? Table. You want to table?
I think it would be prudent.
Okay.
I move to table.
Senator Birdsell moves that we table item 22-026 until our November meeting.
Second that.
And Representative Mills seconds that. All those in, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor of tabling item 22-026 until our next meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the tabling motion is approved. For the department, please get the answers in. Our November meeting is the last for this current general session of the general court. And if we don't get it resolved in November, it may be March or later before there is a new long-range committee established and meeting. So please work with Department of Energy and try to get the senator's questions answered. But thank you for bringing it up, and it is a good way to use Superfund site if we can work it all out. Thank you very much. That was our last action item. There are several informational items from Cord. Does anybody want to go over those? Seeing no desire to do that. At our previous meeting, we had agreed that we would meet in LOB room 201-203 at 9:30 a.m. on Monday, November 28th, 2022. And as I mentioned, that's only a few days before we become pumpkins and this general session of the general court ends. So I shall see you all then. And with that, this meeting,
Move to adjourn.
Representative Mills moves to adjourn, seconded by Senator Birdsell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we stand adjourned until November. Thank you all for coming. For those who are here for the Capital Budget Overview Committee, which includes several members who are here, we meet at 10:15 for one item.